somber news today. My coach, head coach Roy Kidd from Eastern Kentucky University, has passed away today. Just got word this morning via social media, and I'm not sure who was the first to find out, but that was some very sad news. Coach Kidd had been the head coach of the Colonels long before I got there, and he was well known in the 1AA circles back in the day when they used to call it 1AA instead of, what is it, football championship subdivision or whatever they got it now. It was 1A and 1AA, and some of the 1AA teams eventually they moved up to 1A and things like that. Or they would always be a couple of 1AA teams that would beat some Division One teams, and that was always a big deal. But me being from Cincinnati, I had always heard of Eastern Kentucky on the peripheral, but it was an honor and a pleasure to be coached by Roy Kidd. I know I said, and this was before YouTube, and heck, it's got to be 6, 8 years ago maybe. I remember making a comment saying I wished everybody, every athlete, had an opportunity to get coached by a Roy Kidd. Obviously, everybody's different, but just having the opportunity to be coached by somebody that's got that much empathy, got that much love, that much concern for all his players, you don't get that in today's era of football at any level. Not at college, not at definitely not in the pros. You got to search hard and find, because it seems like most of the big schools, everybody's out for a money run, and with the implementation of NILs and stuff like that, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. We used to complain because we never got the coverage as all of the big schools did, and we were always successful. We were always winning OVC conference titles, and the time we actually played University of Louisville down there. We ended up losing the game, but we gave them a run for their money. We weren't a homecoming game, so to speak. So I always wish, and I'll say this at any level in any sport, if you coach kids, you're making a difference. The kids will remember that one season or that one year for a very long time. And that's the mark that Coach Kidd left on all of us. I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook post today, and it simply said, "I love you, Coach. There is no me without you. You molded men." And that roster that he had, all of the coaches were of the same ilk. Coach Blankenship, who passed away not too long ago. Coach Ison, who's still with us. Obviously, Coach Kidd, Coach Tanera, Tuck Woollum. Tuck Woollum was one of his players, and when I got to Eastern Kentucky, he was my coach. So, his legacy is countless. All of the players from Eastern Kentucky that made it to the league: Tim Lester, Aaron Jones, Myron Guyton, Leon Brown. I know I'm forgetting a bunch of people, but, Jason Dunn. I mean, the list goes on and on. Coach Kidd created a legacy, and you can just see the outpouring of love and support for Miss Sue and the Kidd family. But when you went to EKU, you knew Coach Kidd cared about you. My story with EKU was I was not a big recruit coming out of high school. I was a late bloomer. And one of my upperclassmen at my high school, Mark Mitchell, was at Eastern Kentucky. Mark was 3 years ahead of me. And at my high school, in the summertime, everybody came to lift weights at my high school, including the people that were out to college. If you was home, you came to our high school, Princeton High School, to work out. And I saw Mark in there one time, and he asked me had I signed with anybody. And I said no. Hadn't I took a visit to I think Indiana State. I went to University of Toledo, and that was it basically. And he said, "Well, why don't you ride down to Eastern Kentucky with me and meet Coach?" So on a basically a conversation of him seeing me in the locker room or in the weight room, I rode down with him to Eastern Kentucky. And when I got down there, Coach Kidd told me he didn't think he could recruit me and offered me a scholarship, full scholarship on the spot. And I was blown away to the point where I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't really understand what was going on. 17 years old, I'm a kid. But even when you're not paying attention, somebody's always watching you, somebody's always looking out for you. And that was Coach Kidd. He recognized talent, he recognized good players, and he was a great coach. So his legacy, like I said, is countless. All of the support that's coming in, you knew it was going to happen, and everybody just loving on each other and sharing their stories about Coach Kidd and his high-pitched voice, singing Cabin on the Hill after wins, all of that stuff. You remember all of that stuff, whether you thought it was corny or whatever. He brought everybody together, people from Kentucky, people from Ohio, people from Georgia, people from Florida, people from Texas, people from California, everywhere. Roy Kidd brought us all together. Taught us how to get along with one another, taught us how to recognize everybody's differences and appreciate people being from different places. And when you can get such a diverse group of people together and everybody going in the same direction, that's a powerful feat. And Coach Kidd could do that year after year. So rest in power, Coach Kidd. I love you, man. So glad I had an opportunity to talk to you last year. I forget exactly when it was, but I reached out to Carl Parks and he got me in touch with Coach Kidd. So I had an actual conversation with him, a meaningful conversation with him. And I'm so glad I had an opportunity to do that before his passing. So I'm appreciative of that. But like I said, Coach Kidd, we love you, man. Your legacy is countless, and we will always be Eastern Kentucky football.